Hi, Charles Cherney. Today's question is, are open houses valuable to a seller in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts? So I've done literally thousands of open houses over the last 25 years in Cambridge and Somerville. And I can say that, yes, open houses are valuable to most sellers, especially on the first weekend that a listing is new to the market. It's no surprise that when a listing is new, it's going to typically have the maximum level of interest with the largest number of parties wanting to get in the home to see it. And so an open house or open houses on the first weekend can be a very valuable tool to allow a number of parties into the home. Certainly it serves the seller if multiple parties are in the home together and these parties with interest can see other parties have interest with their own naked eyes. And it also can become just a convenient way for the seller to accommodate via their listing agent getting many parties into the home. If it's by appointment only and there's 30 people that want to see it, then you have to schedule 30 appointments. And if the seller lives in the home, it can be burdensome to be out that much to accommodate that many parties. Whereas if you're having an open house for an hour or 90 minutes or 2 hours, then those parties can come at the scheduled time to see the home and be there at the same time. And then the seller is, if they're living in the home, not as inconvenienced. So again, the first weekend is the best weekend for an open house or open houses. It's not uncommon in Cambridge and Somerville for a new listing to have an open house on Saturday and Sunday on the first weekend. And then if the property remains for sale after the opening weekend, it can be valuable, of course, to have an open house on the second weekend. Again, it just sort of depends on the listing, the level of interest, and the market. But generally speaking, in Cambridge and Somerville, if still for sale on the second weekend, it's valuable to have an additional open house or open houses. Before the pandemic, there were more broker open houses held on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they were well attended on average. But since then, is not as many agents out to attend broker open houses. So I don't think they're as important as they used to be in Cambridge and Somerville. And it's not uncommon if they are scheduled on a Tuesday or a Thursday for a listing that the broker open house is also published and posted as a public open house. So everyone knows they are welcome to come at that same time. So after the initial weekend and after the second weekend, if the property is still for sale, there is, if you will, a law of diminishing returns in place with open houses. And as I reflect on my experience over the last quarter century, it is really rare after the first 2 weekends that a buyer will emerge because they attended an open house. Is it possible? Yes, it is. But it's much more likely, if still for sale after the first 2 weekends, that the buyer will emerge by an appointment showing. So yes, you can still have open houses as a seller after the first 2 weekends, but don't have expectations that there's the likelihood that the open house is going to necessarily generate the buyer. Could it? It may. And this is in fact why people still will do them. It becomes more important later in time to host an open house if you're still on the market for sale. If there is a significant event, what would those be? You might have reduced your price significantly. And by doing so, it's almost as if you've reintroduced the property to the market at the new price. And you can appreciate that an open house after the price reduction would be appropriate because it could be that it's generating interest from an entirely new group of buyers who previously didn't consider it at the higher price. It may be that there's a new listing that's come on the market near the seller's home, and you wish to take advantage of the traffic generated by the new listing by just making sure that you're open at the same time when the new listing nearby comes on the market. So that can be another reason later in time, if still for sale, to host an open house. So there are reasons to continue having them after the initial 2 weekends of still for sale, but just set your expectations accordingly as a seller if you're going to have them thereafter, knowing that it's much more likely your buyer will emerge by appointment. Now, what about the argument for not having open houses? Every now and then, in my experience, a seller will indicate that they do not wish to have them, and that's perfectly fine. It may be that the seller is just privacy reasons, not wanting just anyone to enter the home, and would rather it just be shown to potential buyers by appointment. It could be that they have valuables in the home or they're concerned about something in their house accidentally being broken. There can be a variety of reasons that a seller has to decide against having open houses. And really, this is fine. The house will find its buyer even if it's shown only by appointment. We can appreciate, though, for majority of sellers that open houses are a good thing, that they can bring many people through in a more condensed condensed period of time, and especially when a listing's new, generate some buzz and excitement, and make it much more likely that a lot of people are aware of the fact that there are other people with interest in the home. So a seller on average in Cambridge and Somerville will benefit by having open houses, especially at the beginning of a listing's history. And hopefully, if it's priced right, looks great, and is generating interest, it won't be more than the opening weekend that's needed for open houses. My name is Charles Cherney. I'm a top residential real estate agent with my business partner, Maggie D. Reach out at any time by text, telephone, or email if we can be of service to you in buying the right home or selling for the best price. Be in touch. Take care.